this morning. So we're all in attendance now, Your Worship.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order at 9:54. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Seeing none, the minutes from September the 14th. Was there any errors or omissions? Mover and seconder for those minutes, then.
Jagger, I'll move.
Jagger and Widner, all in favor? I can see Mark, that's all I can see, so.
Yes, from me, from Dominique.
Okay. Motion carried. So, Michelle, a summary of public consultation?
Yes, Your Worship. This particular committee, as you'll recall, agreed that there should be additional public consultation before you report back to council with respect to whether or not, I guess initially they wanted some additional background information, which you have obtained from both police services. And then following that, deemed it would be appropriate to consult with the public to get their feelings before reporting back to council with respect to the outcome of your deliberations. Council will recall that we had the public meeting on, or sorry, the ad hoc group will recall, we had the meeting on September the 30th. And at that meeting, we asked individuals that were in attendance to provide us with their opinions as to whether or not Malahide should move forward with formally contracting for policing services with the Aylmer Police Services. A number of them did submit written comments at that evening as well. We had the ability for individuals to be able to complete the same questions online through a Survey Monkey on our website. And paper copies were also published in the Aylmer Express, as well as somebody was able to attend the municipal office and pick up a paper copy, complete it, and drop it back off again. So there were a total of 137 responses that were received, of which 107 of them were as a result of the online survey submissions and 30 paper responses that were received. When we tally up those responses, there were 38 that responded that they felt that yes, that should look at negotiating a contract with Aylmer Police Services. There were 92 that indicate that they were not in support of council moving forward with that. And then there were 7 that were still undecided for the total of 137. There were a number of detailed comments that were submitted by quite a few of the respondents, of which those were circulated to the committee members separately. But generally speaking, the rationale for those that responded yes had indicated that their reasoning was that the proposal from the Aylmer Police Service would result in better dedicated service to Malahide, quicker response times, and the potential for future cost savings. And then generally those that responded no indicated that they were not confident that the Aylmer Police Service had the sufficient resources or capacity to deliver the same level of service that the OPP currently provides. And then again, generally, those that responded that they were undecided had indicated that their reasoning was that they really didn't have enough information or felt comfortable in making a final decision one way or the other. So there, like I said, there were a number of specifics which were shared with the committee separately, but those were kind of the general summary of responses. And with that, Your Worship, I hand it back over to the committee for your own deliberations and discussions in terms of what and how you want to report back to council.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. I'm really surprised that you would still get the statement that the Aylmer Police would not be capable of providing the same services as the OPP. That came up at their general meeting. It was in the paper. And all 3 parties, the OPP, Aylmer Police, and our service delivery people, all stated that those special services, such as K9 unit, forensic, etc., would still be supplied by the OPP to Aylmer at no extra cost to us. So Whether people weren't listening or they just don't want to understand it or believe it, I don't know. But really, it's a moot point because the services will still be supplied. That's my comment. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I'll have a comment. I guess after reading all these comments, I think maybe it's time that we just drop this. How far do we want to go with it? Seems like it's almost like 3-1 against. After this weekend and the crap that went on in Aylmer, and there was a lot of comments about the Aylmer police that were terribly negative. They didn't feel they did their job. Seems like the majority of Malahide wants to keep the OPP. So how far do we want to push this until we just say we tried it, it didn't work? I'll throw that out there.
Yeah, and I would say that I think there are two types of comments for those that are opposed. Yeah, I think there's a bit of misunderstanding in terms of having access to additional OPP resources, but there's also quite a strong majority who comment on even at the core services that they don't have the confidence in the skill set or the capacity and the expertise required. So it's not. So I think we need to take those comments into consideration because. So in my opinion, my takeaway is that. So I'm picking up that there are a lot of unknowns and risks that we would be taking by switching services, and based on the nature of the risk, it's a risk that the majority of those who provided comments are not willing to take. And I tend to agree with that because at some point the cost of like you can't put a price on the perceived confidence and the peace of mind. So I appreciate that. I think the process gave us some insights on those who were in favor, gave us some good comments as to what they would like to see in terms of more visibility. And, you know, we all know about like speed, managing speeding issues. And and I think we can take those insights and take them to the Elgin Services Board to discuss and explore, you know, ways that we can tweak our current services so that we can perhaps address some of those concerns that would motivate us to go to Aylmer. But like I said, I think the sentiment to me is clear that this is not a risk that is worth taking.
Okay, but regardless, I think we still need to bring this back to council.
Yes, Your Worship, if I may jump in there for a moment. The mandate of this working group was to acquire additional background information to help to make a more informed decision, as well as to consult with the public, which you have now done in both instances. So there would be the requirement to report back to the council on your findings, the outcome of your deliberations in the sense of the additional background as well as the results of the public consultation. And then it would be up to the council as a whole to be able to make a decision as to whether or not you decide to move forward with the negotiated contract or whether you choose to remain with the existing OPP contract service that you have in place already. So really the purpose of, I guess the next steps, if we're going to do that, is there needs to be a final report drafted to go back to the council, and staff would be looking for this ad hoc working group's direction in terms of what you want to report back and how you want to report it back.
I think we can have an overall view of the comments we receive from the public, and not specifically, but a general overall view, and report that back to the council, and then have council make a decision on what direction we're going from there.
And through you, Mr. Chair, can the committee make a recommendation to council? Of course, it's for council to deliberate.
If I went back to the mandate, it didn't actually indicate that this committee should make a recommendation to decide to negotiate or not to decide to negotiate, but really the mandate of this group was to seek that additional background information and additional public consultation so that the council, when it does discuss, would have the ability. Now, I'm not suggesting to you that you can't, in the course of your deliberations, decide to do more than what you were asked to do. If this committee feels strongly that they would like to present that recommendation, I'm not going to tell you that you can't or you shouldn't. But it wasn't a necessity in terms, like council didn't say, please come back and tell us what you think. The council's mandate for this group was, we need more information. Please seek out that information and then let's find out what the public thinks.
Yeah.
So you absolutely can make that recommendation if you wish to, include that as well as one of the outcomes of your deliberations.
Yeah, so I think the report could describe the, just an overall, a summary of the process, like all the steps that we took to seek additional information. And yeah, I think it would be valuable to council to see that what our interpretation is so far. And then of course, similar to a staff report where you often come with a recommendation and it's up to full council to deliberate. So I would be in favor of sharing some conclusion or recommendations.
I think we would be looking for that. I guess there's two ways around. One, we can work on developing a final report, as you say, similar to a staff report from this particular group. And then we can present that draft report. We can have another meeting of this group to present the final report and make sure you're comfortable with what it indicates. Or we can compile that information. If this particular group is satisfied with what you've done so far, we could look for an actual motion today to put that recommendation in front. We can work behind the scenes essentially to tweak the final report and then present that back. It would be a little bit quicker than having to schedule another meeting, but it's whatever the comfort level is of this particular group in sense of moving forward. Because again, if you want to put a recommendation on the floor, we would be looking for a motion to put that recommendation on the floor.
Can we review a report, a draft report by email without a formal meeting? So we're all.
I think that's an option through you, Mr. Chair. But if that is the case, then I would want to have a formal meeting and a formal recommendation in an actual public, or like in an open meeting. So if you're comfortable with just tweaking what the final results are, recognizing that, okay, three things, I guess. So the recommendation would be that council not pursue it any further if that's what this group is indicating. And then secondly, the summary of the process that you've received to date to get the additional information, as well as a summary of the results of the public consultation. Then, we can compile that report based on that. But if you do want to put that recommendation on the floor, I would be looking for a motion today in order to do that. And then we can certainly through, outside of a meeting, if that's the consensus, we can put the final details together and then present that back to council at a future council meeting.
That'd work for me if you want a motion.
Yeah, I would support that.
Okay, put a motion forward there, Mark.
Okay.
Essentially what I said. No.
Yeah. What did you say about 2 minutes ago?
Rewind the tape.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the motion, your worship, and I don't have anything written down, but essentially would be that the ad hoc working group recommends that the council not proceed to negotiate a contract with the Aylmer Police Services, recognizing that it being noted that the results of the public consultation is not supporting moving forward with that particular process.
All right, that would work.
Moved by Widner,
I'll second.
second by Jaguar, all in favor? Motion carried. So I don't see the necessity of having another meeting, do you? But basically we're going to present this to council.
I agree.
Yes, your worship. Yes, staff will put together a draft report and we'll send it to the committee members to be able to you know, and you can tweak and add whatever additional narrative you have. Once everyone is comfortable with that final report, then we will place it on a future council agenda for the actual council to be able to deliberate and determine whether or not they concur with the recommendations of this group moving forward. I will indicate that there are a number of reports that are going forward for next week's November 4th meeting, and staff are compiling quite a few other reports. So I would suggest that it would be the November 19th meeting that this would be able to be submitted to, just because there are a number of other things that need to be completed this week that I won't have time to do this one.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think there's any urgency. Any other questions or comments for Michelle? Seeing none, I need a mover and seconder that the Aylmer Police Costing Ad Hoc Committee Working Group adjourn its meeting at 10:10.
I'll move.
Moved by Jagger, second by Widner, all in favor? Motion carried. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
I know.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.